Is Victor Newman's journey coming to an end? According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman has recently caused some anxiety among fans. Although he has experienced many highs and lows in Genoa City, the threat posed by Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, is genuine and unlike anything else the Moustache has encountered. In addition, is the CBS serial opera developing an exit plot for the lead actor, Braeden, given everything he has been through as the character? The legacy of Victor Newman. Originally intended to have a brief run, Victor made his debut on the canvas in 1980 and has since become one of the most recognizable characters in the world of daytime drama and the YNR. Victor became one of the richest and most influential men on cinema after creating a legacy on his own as an orphan boy. Having said that, he also recounted a lovely tale of love with Nikki Newman. Recently, she surprised Victor by treating him to a romantic supper where they spent time together and reminisced. The GC super couple danced slowly together, but many were also alarmed by these moments. Is there a send-off hint in the show? There was genuine nostalgia. The reminiscence was triggered by recent situations involving Victor and Nikki. Fans couldn't get rid of the thought that The Young and the Restless might be hinting to Victor's departure. The actor is constantly the subject of retirement rumors, but might this be the last chapter in his character's story? Despite being 84 years old, Braeden remains robust and healthy, yet he has had some hardships recently. He might be thinking about retiring after losing his house in the recent California wildfires and battling cancer. Even though there is no reason, Braeden may need or desire a break after working so hard over the past few decades. Is Victor Newman's career coming to an end? Tell us what you think. For the finest Young and the Restless news, spoilers, and updates, watch the CBS serial opera every day and visit this website frequently. As Billy suffers yet another setback, Victor and Kane are targeted. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman has Michael Baldwin acting as a double agent. In addition, the individual who may be portraying Michael, rather than having employed him, has a weapon that is dreaded. Kane Ashby has widely admitted that he has access to artificial intelligence and desires to deploy it. However, Kane wants Jason Thompson's character Billy Abbott to spearhead that endeavor. Everyone is warning Billy not to interact with Victor or fall for Kane's lines. Billy, however, plans to outsmart both of them. Colin Atkinson wished for his son's victory. Through the efforts of his late father, Colin Atkinson, Arabesque was established. Toward the conclusion of his life, the once scoundrel seemed to have found the straight and narrow way. Colin is thought to have defrauded an old woman of her fortune and inheritance, but he did it with the best of intentions. Colin probably didn't mean any harm to her, isn't known to have caused her any distress, and made Kane wealthy with his newly obtained wealth. After leaving town 6 years ago, Kane was unable to win. However, the liberty and adaptability Colin gave him what would have been almost no opportunity to start over with his beloved family. Nobody in Genoa City, Wisconsin, should be trusted. Billy was never a favorite of Victor's. He frequently uses that child's label since he thinks Thompson's character acts like a male. Billy Boy wants to use Kane to get Victor. Given that Kane has billions at his disposal and is driven by 3 powerful forces, that is a formidable undertaking. Kane wants to make amends with Lily Winters and mend his relationship with the twins. Additionally, he is adhering to Colin's strategy, which is partially successful. Kane is communicating with Lily slowly and is in GC rather than France. Victor realizes that Flynn's character is a serious threat, but he doesn't trust Billy or Kane. Kane only has faith in Jill Abbott, Lily, and their kids. Billy follows his gut, which hasn't always worked out well. 2 titans are beaten by Billy Abbott. The wise one is Victor. Kane recently became wealthy. At the moment, both are titans. Billy sincerely thinks he can defeat Victor, retake Chancellor, and somehow establish Abbott Communications using Kane's AI program. If he succeeds, it would be an amazing triumph, but it's also one of the most significant stretches in modern daytime history. Think about the passage above again. Billy will defeat Victor and outsmart wealthy Kane by using a brand new and proven technology. Longtime supporters won't bet on Billy. In any business game, Victor is always the clear favorite, and Kane's long-term gain will most likely be the reconciliation of his marriage and the twins. One of the best places to find anything related to the young and the restless is this website. For YNR news and spoilers, return often. Kyle is questioned by Claire over his arrangement with Victor. In the Young and the Restless Monday, September 8th episode, Sally got ready for Abbott Communications' debut. Holden threatened to reveal Audra's background, and Victor shocked Claire by standing up for Kyle. The Young and the Restless events. The Young and the Restless Victor and Claire photo, CBS. Claire told Victor that she had just cleaned out her dad's office at Newman Enterprises. Victor asked Claire what was on her mind after she complained that it was difficult to not have Cole around to chat to. Claire noted that she was still discovering who she was and improving her ability to trust her own judgment because her life had not been her own with her aunt. Being good and decent was vital to her since she knew she had done terrible things, but some people believed that meant they could treat her badly. No one walked over a Newman, declared Victor. Claire realized that, even if someone hadn't meant to hurt her, she needed to strike a balance between showing kindness and sympathy and not just taking it personally. Victor pondered whether she believed he had forgiven Kyle too soon. Claire asked Victor what else her boyfriend hadn't told her after informing him that Kyle hadn't told her about kissing Audra in Nice. Claire talked about how she felt more coerced than loved when Kyle proposed marriage. She wondered if Victor had always been correct about Kyle. Victor reassured her that Kyle had passed his test, and that he was positive Kyle had a deep love for Claire and would stop at nothing to win her. The fact that Victor approved of Kyle's behavior when anything could have happened in Nice astounded Claire. The question, Victor thought, was if anything else had occurred. Claire assumed that if things had progressed further, Audra would have shoved it in her face. Victor believed that Kyle had taken the necessary steps to confront Audra, but Audra had failed the exam, whilst Kyle had passed. Everything was upside down, Claire cried. Victor clarified that he had approved because he was impressed by Kyle's willingness to make a compromise. What transaction was he referring to? Claire asked. The fact that Kyle hadn't utilized the pact to win Claire over intrigued Victor, who maintained that she only needed to know that Kyle loved her. Knowing that she valued honesty, Claire wondered why Kyle had kept the arrangement a secret. Victor praised Kyle for his desire to keep Claire safe. Nothing felt right to Claire, who wanted things to make sense. Victor advised her to speak with Kyle, and then follow her intuition. Esther brought Victoria a cocktail at Crimson Lights, topped with nutmeg, just the way Cole had preferred. Cole had been a beautiful man, Esther said, and there was something wonderful to remember every day. Victoria noticed Kyle once Esther had moved aside, and he began to describe what had transpired with Claire. Victoria made it clear that she had no intention of becoming involved. Kyle questioned whether he had lost Victoria's backing due to too many blunders. Victoria admitted that she wasn't sure if Claire had decided on Kyle and that she wasn't going to dictate to her what she should think or feel. Kyle acknowledged that he had made a mistake, but he believed he had given Claire the whole story for the right reasons. Claire hadn't had time to take it all in, Victoria explained, and the matter wouldn't be resolved right away. Kyle inquired as to how he might resolve it. Victoria asked why he had felt it was acceptable to withhold such information from the woman he loved. Kyle claimed that while he could tolerate Claire's anger, he couldn't stand her suffering. Victoria warned that it wouldn't be a simple solution because Claire needed space, but also wanted him to be there for her. Victoria went on to say that although Claire still loved him, it was harder to trust him. Why Audra was still in town was a question Kyle thought bitterly. It seemed unlikely to Victoria that Audra would go anywhere. Kyle promised to show Claire that he wouldn't repeat his mistakes, since he expected Audra to keep pursuing him and Claire. Victoria noted that the timing of his marriage proposal had given the impression that he was attempting to sidestep the topic rather than confront the problems, and she cautioned that it would require patience and time. Kyle vowed that his proposal had been sincere, but he had to make sure Audra wouldn't exacerbate the situation, and he didn't want to push Claire. Victoria instructed Kyle not to make Claire regret her offer to speak with her in order to find out where she was at. Claire went into the coffee shop and asked to speak with Kyle for a moment. Following Victoria's departure, Kyle expressed regret for making Claire feel uncomfortable with his suggestion. He vowed that he hadn't intended to put any pressure on her and that he expected to discuss it with her as a couple before speaking with Harrison about it after the youngster returned. Claire yelled that Kyle was again going off on his own without her, and she had discovered that he was concealing more secrets from her just when she was about to believe him. Kyle couldn't understand what Claire believed he was hiding from her. He was unaware that she was alluding to the agreement he had made with her grandfather when she accused him of having so many secrets. Angrily, Claire wanted to know if Kyle and Victor had made the deal to protect her or to defend themselves. When Victoria got to Newman, she and Victor went over the notes on Claire and Kyle. Victor maintained that there was nothing more that had happened, but Victoria wondered if there had been anything else that Kyle hadn't told Claire. Although Victoria was happy that Victor had finally given Kyle his blessing, she had issue with the timing of Kyle's proposal. Victor could see Claire felt the same way, but she had to face the reality. Victor's acceptance of Claire's autonomy was something Victoria respected. Victoria believed Audra needed to go, and that her daughter needed time before getting married. Victoria questioned what they could do when Victor gave his consent. "Show the door to her," Victor said. Audra said that they were a fantastic combination as Sally excitedly babbled to her about the Abbott Communications launch party at Society. Sally believed Audra should be proud as well, but Audra demanded that Sally receive all the credit. Although Audra bemoaned not being able to celebrate the launch, she assured everyone that she would be stunning. She decided not to let them see her that way since she expected them to be critical of her own failure. Sally argued that the best retaliation was to live well because Audra was intelligent and fierce. Audra vented about Kyle and Claire after Sally urged her to do so. Sally asked whether her friend was going to continue spinning after realizing that venting was only making Audra angrier. Audra promised to be vivacious and endearing that evening. Given both Kyle and Claire were on the guest list, Sally proposed that they split the space. Audra decided that if Kyle and Claire appeared, she would ignore them. Sally sought confirmation that Audra would set aside her resentment and operate in the company's best interests. Audra departed when Sally pleaded with her to go home and get ready, without discussing retribution any further. Shortly after, Holden went up to Audra, who inquired as to if his inebriated lover was dozing off. Holden told her to stop bothering Claire. When Claire had taken the whole Newman family hostage with the intention of killing them all, Audra made fun of Holden for being overly protective. Holden maintained that Claire was a decent person despite bringing up Audra's past. The notion that Holden had a shot with Claire was laughed upon by Audra. Holden yelled that it was called friendship, and he had a feeling Claire, Kyle, and Audra's new boss would be curious in the specifics of what had transpired in Los Angeles. Holden had forgotten how well Audra knew him, and she clucked. Even if she feigned to forget, Holden recalled everything that had happened in LA, and he would tell the world if he had to. He retorted that it went both ways. If anyone else knew what he knew, he mocked, she wouldn't make it through a week in Genoa City. Audra contended that he was also involved in the plot, and she pondered Claire's reaction to him after all the details were known. "I've survived too much to be afraid of Holden or anyone else," Audra said. Holden said Audra was deluding herself because she would be destroyed by the truth. He went on to say that although he had played cleanup, she was solely responsible for the mess, and the stain would never go away. Audra acknowledged that Holden was a kind man and that the main reason she had avoided him was because they both needed to move on from the past. Since he was projecting his love for her onto Claire, she surmised that he was agitated. Holden emphasized that provided Audra left Kyle and Claire alone, he wouldn't cause any trouble. Holden cautioned Audra against forcing him to do something he would later regret. Before she and Billy rode to the event together, Sally arrived at Billy's house to prepare for the celebration. He inquired about the progress of troubleshooting the last preparations. Sally was concerned that there was a possibility Audra may not stop being so preoccupied and neurotic. Sally expressed fear that Audra would stop at nothing to protect herself if she felt assaulted, and that Audra didn't want people to believe she had been battered. Billy questioned what would happen if Audra happened to run across Claire and Kyle, but Sally had faith that Audra would pull herself together. Audra was the ideal candidate for the position, according to Sally. In order to ensure that Sally's only concern was the launch, Billy volunteered to watch Audra. Sally was shown a jewelry box by Billy, who stated that it was a loaner. Billy disclosed that Catherine had given it to Delia, and Sally discovered an elaborate brooch inside. He added that after consulting with Chloe, she had granted Sally permission to wear it that evening in hopes of good fortune when she opened the business that was named after Delia. They embraced when Sally expressed her gratitude. Watch The Young and the Restless in its entirety on CBS or stream it on Paramount+.